Next one is privacy. So if you're using SSL, basically the data that is being sent over the SSL communication is completely encrypted. Okay, so in order to use SSL with HTTP, you are going to use user data constraint and transport guarantee confidential. Okay, so if user try to access these resources, he will be redirected to HTTPS based URL. Okay, so this is a way that you can make your communication to be private. Now server has to actually reconfigure. In this case, Tomcat has to be reconfigured to support SSL. Okay, so that's something that I don't have an exercise yet. Okay, so that will be added in the future. Now security context. So we talked about security context. In fact, we played around a little bit of it before, right? So security information is available by obtaining security context using context annotation. Once you got the security context object, then you can actually find out whether that authenticated user belongs to a particular role and things like that. Okay, so one example that you can use a security context is that depending on the user's role, we might in fact actually return different sub-resource locator. Okay, so if the user belongs to preferred customer role, and then we're going to actually return preferred customer the resource object. If the customer is not preferred, then we probably send another. We will actually use a different resource object, things like that. So this is an example. So we are going to get the security context object, and we check whether the user belongs to preferred customer or not, and depending on whether that user belongs to this role, we'll actually use a different resource object. That's basically what I just talked about. Okay, so that is the last exercise, which is good. So the security context. So when we run the security context object, we are going to actually use Mary and Mary. So let's actually run security context. So run on server and finish. Restart the server. So we're going to actually use admin, and we're going to provide Mary and Mary. And then we're going to actually use security check here, and then we are going to actually see request is made by admin role person. And if you take a look at the code, we're basically using this security context object, and then we check whether the user is in fact belonging to admin or not, and then this is the message that we are just returning to the user. Okay. Alright, so that is basically, so we have to actually log in as, looks like I'm Sang already, so I'm going to just use a Sang. So if I click this guy, this request is made by user login person, and the code is because if you see here, this is the code, and we are actually using the servlet context object. We are going to check whether that user belongs to user role or not. Because Sang belongs to user role, the message you get is in fact the request is made by user role person. That's what you see. Okay. All right. So